So the cars on the track for this one, race one of the weekend around this 3.1 kilometre circuit. Jason Bargwanna joins me in commentary for this one. We just had a very special moment, didn't we, out on track for your old boss, Gary Rogers, celebrating his 70th birthday this weekend, and your famed car was out on the track.
It was pretty exciting, really. I mean, Garth pulled up in pit lane. We were going to fight as to who was actually going to get the drive around and go out in the race car. But to have all those cars lined up, and it was pretty special, and to see Gary, I think he had a bit of a tear in his eye there. It was pretty special. I can't believe how far cars have come.
Yes.
In 15 years, Garth and I drove that car here to finish second at the Queensland 500, then went on to win Bathurst. And yeah, it was pretty exciting to get back in it and drive a lap for in honour of Gary.
Haven't the cars changed since that era, 1999-2000, to what we saw with Scotty Mac's Volvo at the back of the field?
Absolutely, and even from the inside of the car, both Garth and I looked at each other and we couldn't believe how much they've changed over the time, you know, so it was pretty exciting. It was good to see Gary certainly earned a lot of respect up and down pit lane. Everyone was out there in their T-shirts to celebrate his 70th birthday, which I believe happened on Wednesday. So, yeah, big contribution to the sport, and fortunately for me, I was part of that. Number of wins, podiums, pole positions, and of course enabled me to be part of that Bathurst win for his team.
Certainly a popular figure in the paddock. The car that stood out to me was the Peter Jansen Commodore that was out there earlier on. It's one of the first cars I ever saw on TV growing up back in Adelaide.
A couple of those A9X Tiranas popped out as well, and that little Escort at the front.
Yeah, very cool.
You can see some of those A9X Tiranas fitting into this field, actually. Obviously, we've got John Bower and that Tirana sitting on the front row. So it was that era of car that Gary sort of come up through, and through Group C, obviously into you know, a bit of Group A. Obviously, he did Bathurst there in one of the old Walkinshaw-style Commodores, up until he you know, retired from driving, become a team owner. Stephen Richards, myself, Garth, Cameron McConville, Lee Holsworth, a lot of us that drove for him over the years, and it was good to see the cars celebrated.
I think his last start was 92 or 93 at Bathurst with Terry Finnegan, if memory serves me right.
Geez, I was in that race, but yeah, I can't remember Gary and which car he was in, but certainly later earlier in my driving career, yeah, to be part of what he did and what we built there. I joined the team when it went from one car to two, and you know, to go to Bathurst. We had a good results at Bathurst. I finished for third with Jimmy Richards, who we're actually looking at there at the moment, who's currently fourth on the grid. He and I shared a car in 1998, and I chased down Larry Perkins towards the end of the race to finish third. And then a couple of years later, we went back and won with Gary.
We'll put the nostalgia on ice for a couple of moments here as we check out the grid for the NZ Touring Car Masters. It's a different start to what you see with our other categories. It'll be a rolling start. Once the safety car pulls off the track, it's Johnson and Bow on the front row, Miedeke and Jim Richards on the second row, Keith Kasulki and Jason Gomersall on row number 3, Mark King and Glenn Seaton, then Eddie Abelnisa and Tony Karanfilovski will start out of position number 10 after having a spin during qualifying earlier. At the pace to Greg Crick and Andrew Fisher. Looks like they sorted the engine dramas out with that car. Charlie O'Brien quicks to the Trans Am cars with Ian Palmer. The two Camerons, Tilly and Mason, who drove up overnight. We'll talk about that during the coverage. Leo Tobin and Ian Woodward. Back to Brett Curran and Michael Ubergang in the car that John English was going to drive this weekend. Back to some of the Trans Am cars there. Anthony Tenkate, Alwyn Bishop, Rusty French will do it from the back of the field, and Mike Collins starting out of 24 for this race around Queensland Raceway over 12 laps. I love rolling starts.
Yeah, look, they're a little bit different. Obviously, when I race in New Zealand, that's all they do over there. We basically do rolling starts throughout the entire weekends. It's something different. It's a little bit safer in terms of that standing start. Some of these older cars, we don't want to see them damaged, but clearly it really compacts the field going into turn one. It's a hard thing when you're in the middle of the field there, trying to see when the start goes. But usually you roll around. The lead guys pick the pace. They keep it nice and tight. As soon as that green light goes, we're off and racing.
And it does take away some of the danger element, I guess, of car stalling at the start of the race. Pretty much out of here, everyone needs to be side by side when the green flag comes out. The race gets underway, very American style.
It is, and it certainly gets rid of that standing start risk, but it closes the field up a lot by turn one, so that risk then all of a sudden turns itself into 150 metres down the road to where they all come on the brakes, and there's a lot of cars very tight, very close, and yeah, it's still a very exciting way to start a race, that's for sure. 14
points covering first and second in the championship. This could be a breaking moment in the series as the Lexus safety car comes into pit lane, and Bow will need to get up a bit closer here alongside Stevie J as they come up to take the green flag. It's round 5 of the NZ Touring Car Masters. We're at Queensland Raceway, and here's the green flag.
Oh, right on the line as well. The start has held them for a long time, but Stevie J's got the jump. JB's going to try and go around the outside.
still side by side in formation, going through 1 and 2, and Bow is hanging tough on the outside here.
Yeah, no, he's not going to get there now. He's trying to have him go around the outside, and that's led Andrew Madecki back into the argument. So Stephen Johnson being fairly kind there, like Mark King down the inside of the road. Andrew Madecki trying to get some space. It's all happening throughout the field at the moment.
So Ian Palmer was slowing up. Is that Keith Kasulki locking up? It was going down to turn 3. So Bow has been menaced now by Andrew Madecki as they come out of turn 3. The run down to the 1 of 2 left-handers on this 6-turn course.
So nice clean start, all the cars through. A little bit of locking up, a little bit of swapping and jostling positions. But as it is, Stephen Johnson has opened up that 3 or 4 car length gap, which is going to be quite comfortable with him. He was fast in qualifying, so that 5 or 6 car length gap now is going to be hard for JB to hunt down.
It's a big margin for Stevie J as he comes to the final turn here in Mustang Sally. It's already a second as he comes out the final turn. Abel Neese is going to get hung out to dry here. Mark King will make the pass. Glenn Seaton gets past him in the process. Lap 1 is down as Madecki looks for a pass down the inside the Lubrimax entry. Oh, Bow gave him enough.
John Bow's seen Andrew Madecki coming there, give him a little bit of room, and he's now going to have to try and hang on the outside. It's always a risky move on the outside of Andrew Madecki. He's a tough racer, he won't give you much, but JB decides to let him have it and fight on for another day. So now, Andrew Madecki, we did see some fantastic pace from that Camaro in qualifying. He just didn't quite get there in terms of knocking off pole position, but it had some very fast sectors, and now he's probably the best chance to chase down Stephen Johnson in that in Mustang Sally.
Madecki's had 2 wins this year. That was the Clipsal 500 round. Oh no, Andrew Fisher. This car had engine dramas yesterday, and there was a bit of a question mark over it prior to qualifying, and it's a sad sight as he jumps out the Jesus All About Life Falcon.
Unfortunately, the question's been answered, hasn't it? The car's not going to continue in this one. Bit of smoke, steam coming out the bonnet, which is never a good thing in these cars. Jason Gromisel, very fast in practice, on board with him. Man, he goes back to that first gear early and puts a lot of stress on the engine, on the gearbox. But he slows that car down. He's trying to find a way past Jimmy Richards. Glenn Seaton now, another passing manoeuvre. He's moving up through the field.
So through they come. Gomisel over the back of Jim Richards. Glenn Seaton is next. This is your battle pack for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. So round to turn 2 they come. And Johnson just starting to ease away from the field. 1:17.08, the fastest lap of the race. He's 1.97 seconds clear at the moment of Madecki in second.
John Bow there looking for some clean air already. Obviously the temperature's up a little bit today. The brakes are hot, the engine's now hot. Obviously they want to try and get some fresh air through that car engine. Madecki opening up a little bit of a gap, about the same gap now that JB's got over Jim Richards in the Javelin. And then right behind Jimmy Richards, you've got that battle with Jason Gromisel and Glenn Seaton now coming up to close to behind those guys.
Some action further back in the field during this race, right in the middle of the track there. And that was when Fisher broke down and almost took the field. A couple of cars behind him. This is further back in the field. Cameron Tilley and Charlie O'Brien. Look at this two-wheeling feeling we've got down here. That's some cool stuff.
That is great to see. Is it some slow motion action, side-by-side racing, and they've continued on without putting a scratch on the cars, which is good to see.
So Bow and Madecki just inching away from Jim Richards, who's now got Glenn Seaton on the back of him. Got past Gomisel on the previous lap. Mark King just tailing on the back of Eddie Abel Nisa, who we're right on board with now, the Brisbane's cheapest cars entry.
You've got to be easy getting on the throttle. You've got to let the tyre do the work through turn 2. It's a very important run down the back straight. So if you get on the throttle too early, it tends to transfer the load through the car and upset your run. So you've got to be patient. You've got to wait. You've got to let the car do the work. Jason Gromisel there. He's gone deep. Oh, that was a mistake. He's now come back at Keith Kasulki. So there's a little bit of a battle going on here. Glenn Seaton's now edged away from Jason Gromisel. But Jason, we saw him. He's got pace. He's definitely got pace. But he's making those little mistakes that's hurting his weekend at the moment.
The car prepared by Matt Stone Racing, his own business, iSeek. He's helped a lot of races over the past few years and really enjoying his time in NZ Touring Car Masters competition this year. As Kasulki menaces the back of him. That's your order on lap 4 and 12. And now Kasulki under brakes at turn 6. Puts the big Falcon down the inside and makes the pass.
Well, there's history repeating itself, isn't it? The old XB Falcon versus the SLR 5000. It's good to see that battle continuing even, you know, 40 years after it probably would have happened back in the day. So it's pretty exciting to see those cars out here racing. There's JB now, and he's not letting Andrew Madecki get away, is he? I mean, look, he's really nice and neat and clean in that car. You can see that car doesn't move around a lot. JB drives it very straight, and that's what you have to do here at Queensland Raceway. Andrew Madecki pushing hard, trying to find a way to get up to Stephen Johnson, who was just, again, inched away with a 16.7 being the fastest lap of the race.
2.8 seconds clear of this group here. The notable on that graphic we just saw was 0.6 of a second that Bauer lost on lap 2 behind Madecki. And now it gets closer to him. The Tirana, which he jumped aboard at Winton Motor Raceway earlier this year. First time we've seen Bauer in a Holden. Still owns the car that Stephen Johnson is racing, the Pace-sponsored Mustang. Doing a great job out in front here as we approach half race distance of race 1 of the weekend.